Did you miss me?
Not really, but, obligations.
Yeah. We're back here with Union Cross. This time, actually Union Cross. Last time, that it's called Union Cross with like cross in parentheses. Last time we didn't actually do Union Cross. Last time we did Kingdom Hearts Key, technically speaking, which is...
Right, because naming things is hard. Just give the fuck up. Yeah.
There's actually an interesting angle to this, because I explained before, and I'm going to go through this really, really, really quickly, that Kingdom Hearts Key was originally a Japan-only browser game, and eventually got ported to mobile. Canonically, they're still not the same game, because what ends up happening, and we'll get through that a little bit more sometime during this, but what happens in Union Cross is they get sent to a different world after the Keyblade War, because the Keyblade War destroyed the world. And there they repeat all the events leading up to the Keyblade War, but then the Keyblade War itself is prevented in that world, so that it can keep on living on. So what you play in Union Cross is technically the second go-around of those events.
But why? I mean, I get it, it's fun, and they were two different games, and now they're canonically also different, and whoop-de-doo, but why?
Because they need to not all die.
I mean, yes, fair.
Is the reason. How that works with certain plot points and certain scenes, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think they really thought about it too deeply, but canonically, that is the case.
And well, if they're not thinking about it, then I'm not going to think about it either.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. So, last time we left off, we did fight in the Keyblade War, and Ephemer's Gold came to pick us up from, I don't know, heaven or something. So, now, most of the Keyblade wielders in the world are just dead. Aside from everybody in Ava's group, the Dandelions, which we technically never joined, but Ephemer's like, I'm a Union leader now, because the war's over. I'm now a Union leader. And he's my friend, so I'm gonna go get him.
And you should have been a Union leader, but you're just too goddamn stubborn.
No, our character was never chosen to be a Union leader, only to be a Dandelion, only to be allowed to survive. The leaders we'll actually get into in a moment. We know three of them. That's Ephemer and Skuld, the two you see here on screen, and then Strelitzia, who was murdered.
The stocky lady.
Yeah. So, technically, I guess we only know two of them, because one of them is dead already.
Well, you can still know someone that's dead.
True. So, we start.
I was gonna say it's not like you forget someone when they die, but in this game, sometimes...
You don't know. You don't know that. So, we start, or rather continue, at the Keyblade Graveyard with our new Union leaders, because... the foretellers are now gone, dead, away, something. So we have the new Union leaders, starting with Ephemer. They're showing up one by one. So soon after, he is joined by Skuld, another one which we already knew was going to be a Union leader. I think we knew, otherwise I spoiled that. So they have a little bit of a chat until the third person shows up, which stays off screen for a little while, as they talk to this new person. And then the camera pans over to reveal Ventus.
Oh, shit.
Apparently hanging out before anybody else in the series was even born. He's a little awkward.
The fuck is he doing here?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you. Well, I'm going to tell you at the very end of this episode.
Eventually.
We'll get to that, is what I'm saying. He's a little bit awkward. Seeing Skuld and Ephemer already knowing each other, he has no real friends of his own. He's a bit of a loner, and he wonders why he was even chosen, because he's not like particularly good with people, and he's not particularly good with the Keyblade, so why was he even chosen to be a Union leader? And Skuld goes like, oh, Master Ava probably had her own reasons. She saw something in you. You are worthy. And Vance is like, I guess so, otherwise I wouldn't be here now, would I?
You would think so. Could have been just his fabulous blonde hair.
That's it. He was chosen purely because his blonde hair. Also because he's a main character of the series. That's why he was chosen.
That's beside the point.
But Ven is now glad to actually have some new friends, because he didn't have much in the way of friends before. Now he's got a whole 4 new friends, because there's going to be 5 union leaders. Except, maybe not.
And they've talked for like 2 minutes, so now they're best friends.
That's how Kingdom Hearts works. And as they are talking, union leader number 4 shows up. Brain.
Who is this fabulous motherfucker?
Yeah, he's got a fancy hat with a feather on it. And he doesn't have a face.
I will tip my fedora to that.
He asks the rest of the group, do you think this rulebook Ava gave us, is that like actual rules, or do you think it's more like general guidelines that we can work around a little bit? Scott immediately says, no, they're rules. It's called a rulebook. Of course they're set in stone. We can't just work around them.
Hello, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, maybe. To which Brain replies, oh, so you're the serious one. You're like Ava. Okay, I got it. They all have a good laugh, but Brain continues, asking, how can we know that we can trust Ava? She's forcing us to lie to all the other Keyblade wielders, because everybody else forgot that the war even happened to begin with. So how are we not sure we aren't being lied to as well? Everyone is unsure about that, thinking, god damn, that's a good point. But Aphamer is the one who says, you know, maybe wiping everybody's memories was just a good idea. While before, he was very much against the idea. But now that he's seen the Keyblade War, he's like, yeah, okay, so maybe there's actually some merit to that plan, and maybe we shouldn't distrust the plan from the Masters, because they seem to be knowing like what's going on here.
Yeah, maybe not being scarred for life is a good thing. Yeah.
As they discuss this, the 5th Union leader shows up. A fabulous pink-haired dude named Lorium, which you might not remember or put this together, but this is also a character that we already know if you add a little X to their name somewhere.
Wait, what was his name?
Lorium. L-A-U-R-I-A-M. Mix it up, add in an X, and you get Malusha.
Ew. Now, my dyslexic brain can't handle that, but...
Yeah, no, this is actually one of the names that is very, like... Even Roxas and Sora, it's a little difficult sometimes to see if you don't know. There's other ones like Vexen and Avin, which are very obvious. This is a little bit of a longer name, so they have a little bit more room to make an actual, like, proper name out of it without the X. This is Malusha's human person form, which, again, apparently existed millions of years in the past.
Don't think about it. It's fine. Also, that I did remember there was someone with pink hair. Just all the names with X's kind of slipped me.
In one way, you're going to have to get used to that. In another way, they're reusing a lot of the characters, so they're not introducing new ones. So you're going to be able to maybe keep up a little bit more with that. So these are our 5 union leaders. I would very much like to point out that Strelitzia was supposed to be one of them, and she's dead. So something's not entirely right here.
Maybe they just had a backup, you know.
I like your optimism. I respect it. Just putting it out there. In the meantime, in our bedroom, our boy Jens wakes up. We are alive.
Yay.
We didn't actually die. Which, of course we didn't. There's a whole second part to this game.
And we're the protagonists. Yay.
Yay. We look up, wondering if all that was just a dream. And Charity says that we've been having that dream a lot since that day. The day that Ava asked us to join the Dandelions. Later, we see the Charity talking to Skull and Ephemer, saying it's very hard to lie to us, but it knows that it's the best thing to do for everyone. They remind Charity to not forget about its task. Union Cross. Roll credits!
Yay.
Skull explains what Union Cross is, which is my job. I'm explaining what Union Cross is right now.
Finally.
She says that it is new adventures with friends, meaning that what they're doing is they're overriding the horrific memories of the Keyblade War with new ones, hanging out with friends, having fun, having adventures. It's just kind of how memories work.
Yeah.
Ephemer also just wants to join in the conversation, I guess. Notes that the darkness in this world is more complex than the darkness in their original world. Like, it almost has a will of its own. He says that he has a really bad feeling every time some something happens in this world that didn't happen in the original. So he's not entirely sold on this whole Union Cross thing. Because they're reliving all of the events, but some things are slightly different. And we're now getting to a point where the timeline split, if you could call it that almost. We've got up to the point where the Keyblade War should happen. So now we're entirely in new events, and that's making Ephemer a little uneasy because at this point he doesn't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, having day-to-day knowledge of what exactly is going to happen, apart from a few outlying things, and then going into the unknown and have some getting used to.
Yeah, and specifically, he knew everything that was going to happen, but some things did still happen differently, and that is the part that unnerves him, because there's no real reason that things should have gone differently in this new world, but they did. So he thinks that it probably has something to do with the fact that the darkness in this world seems to be different compared to the darkness that they've been fighting before.
It's just quantum mechanics stuff, don't worry about it.
Yeah, let's go with that. The 5 new Union leaders, because now they are actually the proper Union leaders, enter the Foretellers Chamber. Or I guess it's just kind of their office now, because the Foretellers aren't around anymore. Brain runs straight to the table with, I guess it's the Book of Prophecies, or maybe just a book. It looks like the Book of Prophecies, but he rips a page out of it in a minute, and I don't think it's the Book of Prophecies, it's just the same fucking assets, maybe. I don't know. Skuld notes that they should decide on who is going to take which union, but Ephemer isn't so sure about doing that right now, because they've just gotten started, and maybe don't rush that kind of thing. That's an important decision.
Wait, am I reading too much into this? But he rips a page out of something that looks like the Book of Prophecies. Wasn't that the whole plot thing a few games ago? The whole someone ripped a page out of the Book of Prophecies thingy.
That was, kind of a little bit. This is not related to that at all. Again, I don't even think the page he rips out. He does it in front of everybody else, first and foremost. We'll get to it in a minute. It's a recipe for making new spirits to aid the Keyblade wielders. And the sprite that he takes it out of looks like a Book of Prophecies. It's the same sprite, but I think it's just a book that the masters have left them, maybe. It would make a lot more sense if he ripped that page out of the notebooks, with the rules in them. That would cause a lot less confusion, because it might have been the Book of Prophecies. I don't know. We'll get to it. So they say, okay, maybe we should decide the union leaders, and Ephemer's like, maybe we shouldn't rush that. Brain then butts in, saying that the rules told them to assign new leaders, and they said that they have to follow the rules, so we should assign new leaders. And Laurium, being as smart as that he is, said we have to decide who's going to be the new leaders. It didn't say when, so we can take our sweet ass time. Don't worry about it. Which is a real technicality.
We're getting paid by the hour anyway, let's chill.
That's kind of the vibe we're getting here, yeah. Skuld agrees with this, and says, okay, so yeah, maybe we do need to think carefully about this. Then asking Ven, because he's just kind of standing there during this entire conversation. And Ven says he's happy to just go along with whatever the others think. And Ephemer says, no, you're a union leader as well. If you disagree, please do speak up about this. He says he just isn't very confident in himself yet. And Brain just says, come on, dude, just grow a backbone, please. The rest of them are like, no, he's a very sweet boy. He isn't weak. He doesn't need to grow a backbone. He's just very kind, which is a nicer way of saying that he is weak.
Yeah.
Brain lifts up the book, which, again, I don't think it's a Book of Prophecies, but saying that they can make some new spirits for all the wielders. They're not quite Charity, but they are similar. Somewhat less powerful than Charity themselves.
We've got Charity at home.
It's Charity at home, is what it is. They will be able to consume the nightmares that the Keyblade wielders are still having, because every night when they go to sleep, they have nightmares of the Keyblade War. And these spirits will be able to eat away those nightmares and make them gradually forget things a little faster and a little bit more peacefully.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster. Having those fake-ass charities eating the nightmares so they don't feel them anymore. That just sounds like a fast way to corrupt them and have them all be pieces of shit.
Could be, maybe. Who knows? Then Ephemer and Skuld are going out though to gather materials for making these spirits, because you can't just pull them out of thin air, you need materials to make them. Lorium, however, says he doesn't really feel like going out on like a gathering mission right now. He's got some other things to do. So you three go do that. I'll stay around here and help Brain and like work on my own project that I'm working on at the moment. So everyone gets free Pokemon.
Okay.
Every wielder gets a spirit, which is like just a Pokemon.
Okay, so we had Pokemon. And then we had this, and now we have Pal World. This
is somewhat less brutal than Pal World, I should point out. A little bit, ever so slightly.
They're fantasy pets. I mean, they're if you're gonna have fantasy pets, everybody's gonna say it's Pokemon. There's no getting around that.
That's exactly it. I don't even think they serve a gameplay purpose, from what I can remember. I think it's literally just a story thing. Maybe they're like collectibles. I don't know. At this point, I wasn't playing the game because
it's cute and fluffy. So
yeah,
it's fine.
They're cute, they're fluffy, they're not relevant. To be honest with you, is what they are. We also get to meet our new party, because we actually have like a party with a couple of NPCs in it, which all have some kind of personality. I'm going to be real with you, I don't think I have a single screenshot of them because they're actually not relevant at all.
Yay.
But Charity tells us that cherish those new friendships you're making, because one day your friends will become your power.
Now get the fuck
Jens, is Sora confirmed? Is it?
No, that's not how that. Well, the other ones are here, so maybe.
You never know. All I'm going to say is that there is potentially interesting theories surrounding it. I say it as a joke, but there is a potentially interesting theory surrounding that. But there's potentially like 3 interesting theories about Sora's identity. So we'll get to that at the end of the very end.
You can't say that, oh no, it doesn't make sense. It's millions of years in the past. Well, the other ones are hanging around here, so duh. And also the ones who are dead, the dang it, Foretellers, yeah. Those who are presumed dead, and then they show up after the whole phase 1 thing. Yeah. So who knows what anyone what is anything.
There's one thing that you need to remember, and that is that Kingdom Hearts, beyond all else, while being a Disney product, first and foremost is anime as fuck, which means nobody dies.
Yeah, also that's also Disney.
Well,
except when it's
tell that to literally every parent in literally every Disney movie. I don't know. I think Disney kills a lot of characters.
Yeah, but not main characters.
True.
And they also own Marvel, in which nobody fucking dies. So
true. In the MCU, they're pretty good at that so far, except for Loki. But that's Loki. Let's not talk about the potentiality of an AI Iron Man. Let's move on.
Yes.
Charity, while you're off having adventures with your new friends, is really still having this crisis with itself. I'm holding this secret from my wielder, because we don't remember the Keyblade War. We fought in it, but those memories were overwritten. Everything about it is not gone, because as you remember from Chain of Memories, you can't destroy memories. You can only rearrange the memories so that certain memories are avoided altogether. And that's what's happening here. But Charity says to itself that if one day we would like to have our old memories back, it will give it back to us. Which is a very empty promise, because how can you want something back that you don't know you're missing?
Well, I'll tell you when you're older, when you're ready for that.
It doesn't even say it to us. That would be even weird. Like, hey, your memory got fucked with. If you want them back one day, I'll give them back, but not right now. That would be even... No, it's just saying it to itself.
Yeah, no, that would be absolutely fucked up, yes. And it's like, kind of like a parent telling a child about, the birds and the bees and all that. They'll know when you're ready
So I guess.
or something.
I guess. So we go on a whole bunch of new adventures with our new friends, some of them even to new worlds. Like, we have a little bit of a beach party. Fun. And when we, at the end of the day, return to Daybreak Town, we watch the sun set from the hill overlooking the town, when Charity joins us with some good old sea salt ice cream.
Yay!
Which, again, it's a reference to a Roxas. I'm just saying. Sora confirmed. Anyway, all that doesn't matter. That's just character, like what our main character, our player character up to. I'm gonna be real with you. Our player character does not matter in this part of the story. What does matter is we beat the hell out of Maleficent in one of our missions, and she's like, "Why do I always fucking lose?" When a shadowy figure steps out from behind her, saying that it knew that Maleficent would come here from the future, and introduces itself as Darkness.
Okay.
Maleficent is straight up talking to a guy named Darkness.
Hello, my name is Evil.
Yeah, pretty much. It says that her plan wasn't half bad, going back in time to prevent losing to Sora and collecting the hearts of pure light back in the past instead. Of course, the Master knew that this plan would happen, and so the Enchanted Dominion was never created in the real world before the war, so that there wouldn't be a version for Maleficent back there to time travel into. Because, as you might remember, maybe not, you need to have a version of you existing in the time that you're traveling back to.
Right.
Does that still make sense? Okay.
Yes.
But now, in this new world that was created, or this new world line that was created, that's a word that we've heard like once or twice before, world line. New worlds have been created that were never there before in the real world, including the Enchanted Dominion. So that if she were to travel back in time, she would end up here instead of in the real world, where she couldn't mess with any timey-wimey stuff because they're in a data world. Dum dum dum.
We're in the fucking mirror dimension. Get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
pretty much. Yeah. It's closer to the digital Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts 2, but like on a much larger scale, because we've got like
Okay.
all of the worlds have like data worlds here, so it's kind of like a data universe, which is why I'm calling it. It's a data world line rather than just a data world, because it's got everything.
That's got to be one heck of a
That's
server.
that's definitely running on some kick-ass GPUs. I'm telling you that much.
That's why the Nvidia stock is on now 2 trillion or whatever.
Yeah. It's because the Master of Masters needed a lot of fucking 4090s, is what is happening here. She gloats, however, saying that it trapped her here because it was afraid of her power, and Darkness says, "Nah, I'm not afraid of your power, I don't care for that. But what I am interested in is you taking the knowledge of the past back to the future. Now, that could be dangerous. Which is why there were only 6 worlds with hearts of pure light created in this data realm. So Maleficent could never achieve her goal here or learn what happens in the 7th world and take that knowledge into the future.
Wait, but having data from the past into the future, that's just called history. The fuck do they care?
Because I guess the point is that we're so far back in time that we're like predating any known history, and that there might be important secrets to be found in this time that you couldn't just find through reading a history book. I guess you could find them through reading the Book of Prophecies, but that's like a very specific history book, which was written before the history actually happened. Yeah, it's pretty much like, at this point, like in Kingdom Hearts 3 time, I guess the Book of Prophecies is mostly a history book.
Uh-huh.
But where is it? Because it's not exactly like it's being sold at the nearest bookstore, I can tell you that much. So that is kind of what is implied here. I'm not entirely sure. Maleficent says, why even worry about that though? Because time travel into the future is impossible. We've only learned about how time travel backwards works. We can't time travel into the future. To which Darkness simply says, there is a way. And
I was just imagining Hagrid saying, I shouldn't have told you that. I should not have told you that.
The Darkness is like 100% here to help Maleficent. And how we'll get to when we see them in the next scene again, because we're going to go back to our union leaders, which are discussing things.
The Knights of the Round Table, yay.
Literally, yes.
Yes.
They're having a meeting, but Lorium isn't there because he's got his own little project he's working on. But he said that he will just go along with whatever Ephemer thinks is best, and he's got more important shit to do right now.
Wait, going along with what everybody else says is weak and for pussies, right? But when he does it, it's fine?
Yeah, apparently. But if Lorium does it,
Get the fuck out of here.
It's cool because he's fabulous. That's why.
Yeah, true. True.
They're afraid he's gay, and this is what's happening. He's got pink hair, so they're afraid he's gay, and disagreeing with him will get him cancelled. That's what's happening
fair.
here.
Fair.
Avama asks what everybody thinks about this rule in their book called Shift Pride. Something where Keyblade wielders have to fight each other. He doesn't really like the idea because, again, they've just been through a literal war of this very thing. But the point of this rule is that if Keyblade wielders fight each other like in a small scale, kind of like a martial arts kind of setting, they'll be able to get it out of the system and they won't be inclined to actually fight each other in a huge-ass war. And Brain's like, you might not like it, but them's the rules, dude. You said it yourself, we have to follow the rules, so fighting it is. And Skull's also not a huge fan. He's like, can't we just, like, not have people fight each other? That doesn't seem nice. Ephemer, though, has an idea, because they can still follow the rules, but instead of fighting each other, they will fight Data, because Data is the name of the game today. Since all the worlds were recreated from data after the war, there will be data on everybody that lives in Daybreak Town. So they can just use that to have everybody fight data copies of other wielders. They'll still follow the rules and nobody has to actually get hurt.
So we can fight in the matrix.
I suppose unless you lose against the data, in which case you'll probably still get hurt, but let's not think about that.
Well, if you die in the matrix, you die for real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, checks out.
I should point out, by the way, we now know that they're in the data world because Darkness told Maleficent. These fuckers don't know that yet.
So they're going to create a data world inside of a data world?
They know that there is data on everybody in Daybreak Town, but what they're thinking is that they can just either project that into the real world, that data, or that they can move into a data world to do that fighting much like they do with like those hologram projections of the different worlds that they did before. I'm not entirely sure what mechanism they think they're using, but they think that they're in the real world. We know already that that's not the case. Ephemer says that Lorium already talked to him about this and is actually the reason that he came up with this idea in the first place. Showing us a flashback scene of the two discussing this very idea. We also reveal what is so goddamn important for Lorium to not be here half the time. Because he's looking for somebody who is supposed to become a dandelion, but hasn't shown up yet for some reason. Fucking wonder who that might be.
Someone who might be dead.
So, next up, we got to Lorium, who is meeting up with a girl named Alrena, which you're also probably going to skip over if I don't say this. This is also another organization member. This is Laruxine.
Yeah, the name I wouldn't have got, but I recognize the bunny ear hairs.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. She's got very recognizable hair. She's also got very recognizable sex appeal, which helps.
Yeah.
So, Alrena here is helping Lorium finding his sister, Strelitzia. So, Strelitzia is Lorium's sister.
Ew.
This is also presumably the reason that way in the future, in like Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, 3 timeline, these two end up in the organization together, because they're friends here.
Millions of years ago.
Millions of years ago they were friends, so in the future they're also friends. How that works? We'll get to that. As a point of reference, after this scene of Lorium walking up, going to meet Alrena, without really saying too much to each other, like the actual conversation is a different cutscene, this is where Kingdom Hearts 3 was released. So, playing Kingdom Hearts 3, if you kept up with Union Cross, everything that we talked about in the last episode and this one so far would have been common knowledge to have. So, I'm going to make a quick plot point from Kingdom Hearts 3 a little bit, I'm going to put focus on it, because at this point you could put it together And if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget because I don't have it in my notes. Remember, in Kingdom Hearts 3, when Sora fucking dies and ends up in the final world, there is a charity there.
Yes.
We now know what a charity is, what its use is, and you might be thinking, okay, there's a charity there, neat. Charities are bound to a Keyblade wielder. Who the fuck does that charity belong to?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I showed it in the credits or not. I might have. In the credits of Kingdom Hearts 3, we see Sora has brought the charity back into the real world and is adding it on to go talk to Ventus. So that charity that we meet in the final world is Ventus's charity, again, from all the way back in this game.
Oh.
There's nothing like big reveal-wise about that, but just wanted to make that clear real quick.
Neat.
Anyway, Alrena is surprised to learn that Strelitzia has gone missing. Lauriam explains that Strelitzia was rather shy, and Alrena was one of the few friends that he heard ever mentioning her. She tells him that they weren't really friends, they just went out on a couple of missions together at some point, but maybe she could ask Skuld. She's one of the last people that had seen Strelitzia before going into the warehouse, at which point she wasn't ever seen again. So they go to Skuld to talk about it, because, of course, Lauriam already knows Skuld. Well, friends, now, colleagues, whatever, they're both union leaders. The only real lead that they have is that she had a little bit of an interest or a crush on a person that doesn't talk a lot. And when they go to ask...
Well, not to her.
Not at all.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're pretty much a silent
Sure.
protagonist. It's like, throughout the entire game, our character has like 5 lines of dialogue.
Yeah, fair enough.
So they go ask Skuld about it, because she was one of the last people who had seen Strelitzia before disappearing. And Ephema just so happened to be in the room when they're having the discussion as well. And Ephema's like, wait, someone who doesn't talk that much? I know that guy! That is my good friend who's in the data world. Well, they're not sure that they're in a data world, but who's here with us. Of course, we don't know a damn thing about Strelitzia because she's just been stalking us. We never actually met her. So that's not helpful to Lauriam at all. But, as it turns out, Alrena has been doing a little bit of detective work. And I have a screenshot mismatched. Alrena has been doing a little bit of detective work. Looking around the warehouse where Strelitzia was last seen. Going deeper in, shouting like, hey, is anybody here? It's been weeks, but whatever. When she sees a glitchy ghost version of Strelitzia in her dying moments. Important to note that this is not just a ghost. I took a very bad screenshot. This ghost is also like glitching out.
Was she dying the moment that they like scanned in the world to make it a data thingy? And now she's like half there and half dead?
That could be. What I'm taking this as is more, there's just a glitch in the Matrix, and the Matrix knows how history is supposed to play out, so it's just playing a wrong time here. It's just playing a clip in this place that's supposed to have played 3 weeks ago or something. But I'm not entirely sure like what technically causes this, because it doesn't matter. Lauriam and Alrena talk about this though, and turns out that Strelitzia's charity and Alrena's charity were actually pretty good friends. Unlike the wielders themselves, who barely knew each other, the charities are good friends, because charities apparently have personalities. Could have fooled me.
They do other things than just hanging around and staring at you while you're sleeping?
They also hang around with each other and stare at other people, apparently.
Freaky motherfucker.
I don't know, they all look the same and they don't really seem to have hobbies. So I don't know what would cause them, like one pair to be friends and not, I don't know. Strelitzia's charity lets something slip about the upcoming war to Alrena's charity, which confuses Alrena because there was never a war. Ava talked about there being a war and they had to be careful, but then the war never happened. But Strelitzia seems to think that the war was about to start, so something is a little off there. Of course, Alrena, just being a normal-ass dandelion, got her memories of the war wiped and replaced by whatever happened in the datascape. The Union leaders, however, are like, oh, wait a second, Strelitzia knew about the war coming up? That probably means she was a little bit more important than we were thinking up until this point.
Beeps.
Back in the tower, Van asks Brain why he's reading so much in that book, and what even is that book? What could it be? Brain says that he's working on a plan, because they're still heading for inevitable destruction. And he has to change that in some fucking way, however he can. And then he lifts up his hat, and we actually see his face.
Wow.
He's got eyes, apparently. Who fucking knew?
What? Well, how else is he reading all those books? But
Yeah, no, this is played off as an important point. And I will say that if you're paying a little bit closer attention and you have the characters in mind, he has a passing resemblance to Master Ericus in his looks.
I guess.
So that's probably why this is played up as like a reveal, and why his face was all like dark in shadow up until this point, because there might be something to that. He explains that he's going to become a virus and mess up whatever this world's future has in store for them, so that they won't be destroyed again.
Because it's the data world and he survives.
Yeah, except he doesn't know that he's in a data world yet.
That's besides the point.
So it's a very topical way to describe it without knowing how topical it is.
Well, viruses also work in the real world.
True. Slightly different angle, because in that scenario a virus would likely actually cause the end of the world rather than disrupt that. But
Yeah.
let's not talk about that. Later, Skull and Van are talking about Brain's plan. They don't really understand what is going on. And then a glitchy version of the scene from back cover, where Ava gets her a roll from the master, appears, which they can now witness. Back up in the control room with Brain. This is not Brain. Ventus goes after him after a while, but I didn't feel like scrolling back to get a proper screenshot.
No.
Brain is also seeing some glitches happening with like all of these gears and stuff up in the control room, and he says it has already begun, as data glitches appear to be spreading further and further across Daybreak Town and potentially other worlds. Inside of the actual control room, this is the control room itself. Also, we're here now!
Yay!
For reasons.
Why?
Brain explains about how the worlds were connected before the Keyblade War, about all those hologram worlds and whatever. There were projections made from the Book of Prophecies, and after the war they needed to use the data to recreate those portals to access those worlds, because they can't just go there anymore. Now that the worlds are all broken up, it's a little bit more difficult to travel there. Again, it's what he thinks. He doesn't know that he's in a data world.
Mm.
But, he says, that does leave a question. Are they in the real Daybreak Town? Or in a virtual one?
Oh
my god. Because, glitches have been happening, and glitches don't usually happen in the real world.
Yeah, that's true. Also, they just casually mentioned the whole Keyblade War thingy with our main character there in the room.
Yeah, that's a good point. I suppose, no, his memory still got wiped. His memory still has to have been wiped because he's been having dreams about the Keyblade War.
Uh-huh.
So, no, you're right. That is inconsistent.
Yeah, they're not really that good at keeping secrets.
If there's one thing we've learned about leaders and Keyblade Masters over the course of this entire fucking thing,
Yeah.
it is that they're all terrible at what they are supposed to be doing.
Yeah, true.
And most of them are just straight up bad people. Brain goes on to explain that this world is not only linked to other worlds and their futures anymore, because what we were doing before was we were visiting the futures of the worlds that already existed through the Book of Prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think about it. But now, Daybreak Town has also been connected to a place and time that doesn't seem to exist. And I really need you to imprint that phrasing into your mind very deeply.
All right, and I don't get it, but I'll keep track of that. Yeah, okay.
Brain says that probably somebody should go check that out, because that's a little bit weird. So
Yeah, kind of.
we offer to go explore the new world. And Aphama joins us because he's our best friend. So we go do some Wreck-It Ralph shit.
Yeah, okay, sure. Oh, wait.
Which here... Yeah, you might think. It is explicitly stated here that this world is full of like sub-worlds that are video games, which don't have any normal light or darkness. Once again, I need you to remember this.
Okay.
Either way, as you are working on remembering that, we keep running into these darklings who just keep saying, "Not you," and then disappearing. 5 years ago, we're doing a flashback in the middle of something else, because that's how this game works. Lucio walks into the Master of Masters in the control room, who just says...
With the same shit on the screens behind them, but,
Yeah, because those real worlds did still exist 5 years ago. Like, in modern times, they're just looking at the data versions of those worlds. So, let me check. All of those worlds, like none of the new worlds are in there, I don't think. Yeah, no, that checks out.
These are exactly the same images as, 2 slides ago.
Yeah, well, these worlds all existed in the real world before the war anyway. Like, we've got... this is all Daybreak Town. We've got Olympus Coliseum. We've got Agrabah. We've got Wonderland, maybe? Yeah, this is Wonderland. And then we've got the Dwarf Woodlands. So these were all worlds that we visited in Kingdom Hearts Key before the war itself.
I'm just thinking, like, nobody changed the screensaver in 5 years.
If anything, you would expect there to be some new worlds on there. Because there are now new worlds in this game.
Yeah.
So, which is, like, there is a canonical reason for there being new worlds. So you would expect that they change things, but then they would have to make more art assets, and that would cost money.
Yeah, that's not...
And this is a mobile
what this
game.
game is about. Microtransactions, bitches.
Exactly. Return on investment. Are we going to sell any more microtransactions because we make a new background? No, so we will not do that.
Fair enough.
So, anyway, Lucio walks into the room and the Master of Masters just starts talking. When I was a young boy... And Lucio's like, what the fuck are you talking about? The Master says, what? Even I was a kid once. And just continues. He says, when he was a young boy, the Keyblade War began. And Lucio again interrupts, wait, what? The Keyblade War began back then? And he asks the Master if, at that time, he had a Master of his own. To which he cuts up Lucio? No, absolutely. He cuts off Lucio. With simply, no, nobody else, no Masters. I was just me. I had some friends. That's all there is to it. As Lucio keeps asking questions and questions, the Master just keeps talking over him, which is actually very interestingly done, because it's not voice acted originally. So every time Lucio's voice bubbles pop up, when the sentence is halfway through being revealed, the Master's voice bubble just pops up and is like instantly filled in. It's a very interesting visual way of showing that he's interrupting him. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So the Master interrupts him in his questions, telling him that the Keyblade War was fought between light and darkness, saying that there were other wielders beside him, but they don't really count. Lucio asks more. The darkness, were they like the monsters they face now? And the Master says, you could say that they are darkness, but that's also not entirely accurate, because they just look like you and me. They look like us. Just like normal people. He also says, could you fucking please stop asking questions and listen to my damn story? You can ask questions later. He says that the Keyblade War dates back to when darkness took that form, and it never really ended. The Keyblade War isn't about to begin, that's just a battle, but it may be about to end. He explains that darkness is constantly changing and shapeless. Even being able to hide among people, or inside people. It can't be destroyed since it doesn't have a form. Something that's formless, just like intangible, how are you going to destroy that, right? Which was why the war was never able to end in the first place.
So it's been a Keyblade Cold War?
Kind of. So what we think of as the Keyblade War, all those Keyblade wielders fighting each other, I mean, we can still call that the Keyblade War. But really what the Keyblade War is, that began even further long ago, before the events of what is already a prequel to a prequel to a prequel, and is just light fighting darkness. So effectively, the entire series that we've gone through so far is just one giant Keyblade War. And everything that is like very climactic, like all of the battles, are just that. tiny battles in a war that spans literal eons.
Uh,
When the world is destroyed, the remaining wielders will have to rebuild the world, ensuring that neither light nor darkness will actually be destroyed. But this will serve as a sort of truce, because they won't be able to all-out fight each other at that time, allowing the Master to finally go on a long-deserved vacation.
yay.
Lucio is shocked to hear that the Master is just going to fucking bail on the world. And he responds that, Ava's getting all of the best Keyblade wielders together. It'll be fine. The world will live on. It's in the Book of Prophecies. It'll be okay. And that's where they say, or that is where he says, that the Dandelions will start at Key, become unchained, and fulfill their duty through Union Cross. Which is just there for all of the title drops in one sentence, and I have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
I don't know what starting at Key means. Becoming Unchained is them moving into the new world line, and Union Cross is the overriding of those memories. In this context, I honestly have no idea what starting at Key means.
It doesn't matter. Just roll all the credits.
Yeah, just roll triple credits. I probably, this is a good point to point that out. So we covered the fact that it was called Kingdom Hearts Key originally. So they start at Key, the original browser-based version of the game. The entire re-release of that on mobile was called Unchained Key. And only once we got to the part that we're talking about right now, today, after the Keyblade War, is when the name changed to Union Cross. Because at that point, there was like new content coming out. Also, the reviews were fucking bombing on the App Store. So they changed the name to have new branding. That's the real reason. So this is kind of just the history of what the name of the game went through. It doesn't make a lot of sense in context, so don't worry too much about this. Lucio, still kind of stuck on the whole, we can't destroy the darkness, so we'll just destroy the world and escape to another world, which is fair.
Hey.
And the Master says, oh, Lucio. I told you everything you know, which is apparently fucking nothing, you idiot. What he says, and I have to quote this word for word, you think and think until you come to a convoluted conclusion. Then you get all worked up thinking that must be the answer. And if you don't understand something, you'll get all worked up concluding that there is no answer. And here I want to take a step back and just make everybody realize that this is not the Master talking to Lucio. This is the writers talking directly to the players.
Yeah.
Which again, my theory of the Master of Masters, just straight up being Tetsuya Nomura, the director of the series, you're starting to see why I think that might actually be a legitimate option.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that out of the way, the Master says that... Do I have another screenshot? No, I don't. That's not what the Master says. The Master says that there is a way to win against the darkness, but it will take a lot of time and a lot of careful planning to do so. So much time and planning that you couldn't do it in one lifetime, or even in two. And that is why the world needs to be destroyed, so they can abandon the notions of time and use that in an effort to finally defeat the darkness. Back in the present, the Union leaders are once again all meeting up now. Here we confirm that, yeah, we're probably in a data world. But why? Brain thinks that the world could have been designed from the very start to be cut off from the real world, like a prison. But why would they be put in a world like that? Brain just gets up saying, well, I have no idea, but as I said before, I'm gonna become a virus and fuck up whoever planned this because this is fucking stupid.
Fair enough.
As he leaves the room, when he's in private, he pulls out the actual Book of Prophecies and wonders if anything about this was written in the book.
Well,
Hey,
probably not, because it's all fucking fake.
that's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Question, did you like that previous flashback we had?
Are we gonna get another one?
4 years ago,
No, for fuck's sake.
we see Brain getting his rule book and being told that he's going to become a Union leader by Master Ava. Brain doesn't really think that making him a leader is a great idea, but whatever. If you say I'm going to be a leader, I guess I have to be a leader. Ava says that might be true, but what if I told you that fate is predeterminate and can't be changed? Ava asks if you knew the future, could you then change that future? Brain says he supposes that if you know something about the future and then change it, would that change then not be the thing that is written in the book? Which is a real paradox.
Uh-huh.
Ava hands him the book and a list of names with the 5 union leaders inside of the book, with the one supposed to get the book being circled. That's the list she got from the Master of Masters when she got a task. He says that he's not going to read the book unless he really, really, really has to. And Ava says, that's fine. You'll know when it's the right time to read the book. Back in the present, Lorien comes to talk to Brain about Strelitzia, because that's his entire motivation here. And how she seemed so sure that the war was about to happen, but just then she disappeared. Brain feels like something is odd there, because as we discussed before, being so sure that the war was about to happen must mean that she got information from Master Ava and she was supposed to be a union leader. But clearly she isn't here, and there's already 5 of them. So what the fuck is up with that?
Well, she knew the future. She knew that she was gonna die, but why then tell her that she would be a union leader if she knew that she was gonna die?
Well, did Ava know that? Did she?
I don't know.
In Daybreak Town, Darkness and Maleficent show up. Get used to just having Darkness hanging about. Darkness tells her that this world holds the key to her return to her own time. The Darkness scenes are also very short. That's everything there is to this scene. So yeah, the Maleficent and Darkness scenes are quite short, so we're moving right the fuck past that. Just know that they're now in Daybreak Town, so they're getting closer. Brain has opened up the book, looking at the list. He summons his Charity, which, this is one of the things that I mentioned in the last episode. This Charity actually looks different, because he's got the same little hat that Brain does.
So cute. They're matching.
They're matching. I wish that all the Charity matched their wielder like this, but that would be like a lot of effort. Even his purse is like a little different. Like it's a little like black and silver purse rather than the other one that all the other Charities have. It's kind of cute.
I mean, if you want to sell DLC and collectibles and all that shit, then having a customizable Charity, that will be a return on investment.
Honestly, if like the microtransactions included just like aesthetics for your Charity to customize it, that would probably have made them a lot of money. Yeah, they probably should have done that.
Yep.
Anyway, the only reason that I bring this up really is to just show you the Charity, because I think that it's a cute design. Brain goes to send him off on some mission or some task. This Charity is also sassy as hell. Like, Brain summons him and is like, hey, I need you or something. And Charity is... I don't know what this actual line is anymore, but it comes down to, couldn't you just buy me a drink first? Come on. You call me only when you need me. I love this Charity with, like, all my soul. Back to Darkness and Maleficent. They're still in Daybreak Town, but they're a little bit closer to the castle, because Darkness is guiding Maleficent toward the castle, telling her that from there she can return to the real world, where she can take a lifeboat, because we're apparently on the Titanic now.
Alrighty.
We'll get more into the lifeboats in a moment. She asks what the hell is a lifeboat, and Darkness explains that it was supposed to be a way to escape the world, but it was never completed. But that's actually a good thing, because as it is right now, using it will fucking rip out your heart. And with your heart separated, as we know, you can time travel. So it's effectively accidentally a time machine, which is...
man, I was trying to build a lifeboat and now I've built a time machine. That happens every time.
Yes.
God damn it.
Darkness explains that travel into the future requires a couple of things. You need to reform your body once you're in the future, because your heart gets ripped out here, allowing you to time travel. But unlike time traveling into the past, where you can just inhabit the pre-existing body there, time traveling into the future requires you to regrow your body. And you can do that through a medium. And a medium would just be like any personal belonging, any like clothes or something that is particularly like emotionally important to you, or literally a part of your body, as we'll learn later. So I'm just going to tell you right now, something as simple as the robes she wears will be good enough as a medium, because that is eventually the way she ends up returning into the future.
Right.
But that's not everything you need, because aside from a medium to regrow your body, you also need memories of you existing in that time period. So somebody in that time needs to be able to remember you in order for you to go back or go forward to that point in time. Is your brain fried yet?
Yeah, that does not make any sense unless, well, Coco is part of the Disney canon, so.
Okay, let's say it like this, right? Let's say you're in 1950 and you give like your favorite T-shirt to your best friend, and you're like, just make sure that you survive and this shirt doesn't get destroyed until the year 2010. You then have your friend in the future, in the year 2010, and the medium, your shirt, also exists in the future, in 2010. So then if you can release your heart with those two requirements filled in, you can jump straight from 1950 into 2010. Or even further beyond, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So it is Coco logic, just with the medium attached.
Kind of. And time travel introduced. Like
also that, yeah.
But as long as anybody in that time remembers you, and there is a personal belonging of yours in the vicinity, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm fairly certain that those two things do have to be in close proximity. So you can't just have like a T-shirt in Alaska and then somebody remembering you in like Japan, because that wouldn't work. Those two things need to be in proximity to each other. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that seems to be the case for reasons that we'll get to. Maleficent has less trouble understanding this than everybody with like an actual brain, but she doesn't really believe this, saying like, okay, that sounds like a good story, but I'm going to need more proof before I step into a lifeboat that is unfinished and might rip out my heart. And Darkness says, I've got proof enough for you. You're in the Book of Prophecies. Therefore, you must exist in that time, and therefore, you must be able to get back to the future. Which is watertight logic.
Yeah.
On our favourite hill, overlooking Daybreak Town, Brain and Ephemer are having a bit of a private meeting without the other Union leaders. He shows Ephemer that that he has the book and hands him the note that was inside. The note with the Union leader names on it. Turns out that Brain wasn't the one who was supposed to get the book at all. And as we know, one of the Union leaders wasn't supposed to be there either. Which is when the best charity of all time returns.
Yay!
AKA Brain's charity. And he's brought with him Skuld and Ventus. Brain asked both of them who told them that they were chosen to be a Union leader. Skuld says right here on this very hill that we're standing on right now, while Ven says near the clock tower. Then Skuld asks like, oh, whoa, hold up. Are we being like interrogated or something? Are we being accused or something? What the actual fuck is going on here? And Brain explains that, hold on, nothing's wrong, but I've got this book here and a list, and something isn't quite right. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything because I already know who is guilty. All I wanted to know is whether or not that person is aware of that themselves. So, who is the one who took out Strelitzia and took her place? Final answers. One of the five.
I mean, well, my assumption was that it would be Brain because, well, he's just like there and we haven't seen him before and after she died. But I guess not then. Like, Vandus is a good guy, so probably not him. And they're here with 4. There's one missing. But that's her brother, so that I did. I can't remember her name, but the lady with the black hair, then, I guess.
You just kind of went through the entire emotional roller coaster that was spread out over like 3 years of content for everybody playing the game. That is more or less the exact thought pattern that people had. First they were like, it's definitely Malusha, right? He is a bad guy in the future. And then it turned out, oh no, wait a second. He's a brother, so probably didn't kill him, kill her. And then people were like, Brain is shady as fuck.
Yeah.
Probably Brain. He refers to himself as a virus. We're still looking for a traitor. It's going to be Brain. Then this happened. And, I mean, certainly not going to be like Ephemer or Ventus because they're both very good guys. So it kind of leaves only one person.
Yeah.
So, Brain walks up to the traitor and saying, Ven, you weren't on the list.
Wait, what?
It was Ventus.
What?
Meanwhile, with Maleficent and Darkness, we'll get back to this in a moment, but first, Detour, Maleficent and Darkness are now inside the tower. And she asks it, why are you actually even helping me? Like, you've been helping me a lot here, but why? And he says that, just think of me as an old friend. But really, what I'm doing here is I'm sending you back to the future, because we just talked about how future time travel works, and if I send you to the future, you have memories of me. Meaning that I can then follow you into the future.
Ooh.
She walks into the basement and sees a machine.
Uh-oh.
A machine that I am sure you do not remember.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
That's the thing of pure hearts, where the princesses need to be put in, and then that's the thing from Kingdom Hearts 1.
It is a Kingdom Hearts 1 thing, but it's a different Kingdom Hearts 1 thing than you're thinking, which is
dang it.
insane, because you got the game right just a moment ago. Remember all the way back in Kingdom Hearts 1, while we were ramping up to the end of the game, and I said, okay, before we go into the final boss fight, I need to show you a screenshot of a machine, and this is going to be important in like 15 years from now.
Yeah.
And then we went through the entire Kingdom Hearts Phase 1, and that machine was not ever mentioned even once.
Uh-huh.
This is that machine. This is the lifeboat.
Oh.
Well, these are the lifeboats. The machine itself, I think, is called the Ark.
Right, and then the black tube thingies are the lifeboats.
I think in my script I called them pods. I think officially they're called lifeboats, but the use of this machine is to travel to another world. But this machine is incomplete, so it rips out your heart. We discussed that. It allows you to time travel instead, accidentally.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, they had just a weird-ass design for a machine in Kingdom Hearts 1, and they reuse it here. I feel like originally it was supposed to be what you said, extracting the princess's hearts. But now it's got an entirely different use.
Someone was like, we need a machine thingy. Wait, we had that thing in the background of the other of like 15 years ago.
We never actually used that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Let's fuck around with the fan some more.
Yeah, no. Everybody, when this was first revealed, lost their fucking minds. Because Kingdom Hearts fans are insane and immediately recognized a background detail from over a decade ago.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's not really background detail. You have to like interact with it to move on with the story. So there is some focus put on it, but it's never explained what it is until now. Anyway, Maleficent goes to get into a pod to go back to the real world, because first these pods will take her from the data world to the real world, and then she can use them to time travel into the future. But just then...
I thought she needed more proof before she was going to do that.
Oh no, but hearing that she's in the Book of Prophecies apparently was proof enough. She didn't read the Book of Prophecies, she just trusted Darkness to not be lying about that part, I suppose.
Just trust me, bro.
Yeah. Maleficent is real weird in this game, because I'm going to point something out that I heard somebody else say, and I cannot unsee this at this point, but what has Maleficent done in the entire time that she's been here?
Absolutely jack shit.
Yeah, she shows up, she talks to Darkness, and she leaves.
So she's just a vessel for Darkness to get into the future.
That's the entire reason she's here, and to give her a reason to come back in Kingdom Hearts 2, because this is the way she comes back in Kingdom Hearts 2 after you seemingly kill her in Kingdom Hearts 1. Which we'll talk about in the post-credit scene when we actually see that. But as she's opening the pod, a fabulously haired Keyblade wielder, which now we get to see Laurium's Keyblade, which has a rose on it, because of course it does. It's like, hey, who are you? What the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing?
You're not
Stop
supposed to
touching
be.
my machine.
Yeah, don't. He doesn't even know what this machine is. He just figured that the basement was storage. None of them knew that this was here. The only reason that they figure out that this is here is because Laurium walks in on Maleficent using the pod. Anyway, so they go ahead and fight because Laurium's like, hey, you're not supposed to be here, and I don't know what this machine is, but it's my property, so get your hands on my stuff.
I didn't know I have this, but don't touch that thing I didn't know I had.
I didn't know I had it, but it's mine, so get the fuck away from it. Up on the hill, everyone is wondering what happens to make Van a union leader, because obviously there's a couple of questions here. Van is not entirely sure about it either, because he's like, but I didn't kill anyone, right?
Looking sad into the distance.
Yeah, right. I didn't. Surely I didn't kill anybody. And he tells everybody about how he met up with Master Ava in the warehouse. Also, this fight happens in the warehouse. He walks deeper into the warehouse where he's supposed to be meeting Master Ava. They decided to meet up here to have their conversation about the union leader thing. He walks into the shadows and turns around as he hears somebody else entering. We see it is like a 1 or 2 frame glimpse. We see that it is Strelitzia entering the building. But Van doesn't seem to have any memories beyond this point until after Strelitzia has already been struck down. And he thinks that the person that entered the warehouse logically must have been Master Ava showing up to get him to talk about the Union.
Oh.
Because he just sees Master Ava. So his memories are entirely fucked. Remembering this, though, causes a little bit of a headache, because flooding back memories, he passes out, and they're like, okay, we'll get you back home, we'll get you some sleep, and then we'll figure this out later. But this is worrying, because Van's still a good boy, but he probably did still kill somebody. Which is not great. I missed that. I was really confused there for a moment. Laurium's been beaten half to death, and you might notice that one of the pods is destroyed. So
Very, very broken. Yes.
We can't use that one anymore. But one of the other ones in the back is gone. Maleficent's used it. While Laurium is not dead, but very, very knocked out, he has a dream about chilling out in a field of flowers, because he's extra like that. When Strelitzia joins him, and they talk a little bit about Laurium having finished his jobs early, and Strelitzia's like, oh, you're so talented, I wish I was as good as you, big brother. And he's like, oh, just calm down. Your magic is way beyond anything that I can do. And you need to keep training, you need to keep getting stronger, because if you get strong, I can hang on to you, and you can just do all the hard work for me. I can, one day, when you're strong enough, ride into battle on your shoulders. At which point, I would like you to remind of Malusha's boss design.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's real fucked up.
His boss design is him riding on his dead sister.
God damn.
Remember when I Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, when this came up, and I again said, this is going to be important about 15 years from now, and you were like, what? This is it.
Damn, that's fucked up.
You can even see in this screenshot on the left, I don't know if it comes through on the stream that I'm showing you, but the like angel guy, like the Grim Reaper. Well, it's a girl, I suppose we know now. Like even is crying.
Yeah.
Like,
Damn.
So yeah, fucked up.
Yeah. You might be heartless, but riding your dead sister with big old knives, yeah, that's heartless. Damn.
I will say that this is, like, canonically probably only symbolic, because we know things about Strelitzia which imply that she couldn't have been this nobody.
No.
But I like to think that we are just going to ignore that, and that this is literally Strelitzia's nobody.
Yeah, that's more fun. Well,
because
maybe not fun, but...
Well, fun is maybe not entirely right. Anyway, we fade out from that scene to white, and then later we come back. There's probably some gameplay missions in there, in the actual game. I don't know. And Laurium notes that Strelitzia is gone, and he looks around and he screams, Strelitzia, where are you? When he is approached by a white-robed figure with ginger-colored hair. Which is very obviously Strelitzia. And then he wakes up in the basements. In the real world, Maleficent steps out of one of the pods. So at this point we can tell apart from this specific area, the real world and the data world, because the central pod in the real world is still intact. Which is the exact reason why they destroyed the central pod in the data world from a writing perspective, so that would be like visually obvious. Otherwise, this would be even more confusing than it is right now, because we're going to be jumping between this and the data world quite a lot over the next, 15 minutes.
Ah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a flashback coming up, by the way, aside from that. So we're going to be jumping even more.
We can't go 10 minutes without a flashback, obviously.
Now that she's out of the data world, she wants to travel back to her own time. She asks if Darkness is going to join it, saying that you don't have a body, you should be able to join me. And it says that, no, I don't think I will. I'm going to stick around here and do some business first. Van, in his bedroom, is asleep, having memories of what really happened with Strelitzia flowing back into him. He remembers striking her down and Darkness telling him to pick up the rulebook. As Darkness leads him out of the warehouse, the moment it steps into the light, it morphs into Master Ava. Van wakes up crying, understanding that, oh my god, I did actually kill someone. Maybe possessed, but I did kill one. One person. That's true. So what did we say about flashbacks a moment ago, actually? I think we like flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
5 years ago. The Master and Luciu are talking in the control room again. And Luciu asks the Master if it's ever spoken with the Darkness. And the Master says, yeah, but it wasn't a very useful conversation. He didn't really seem to understand me, and I didn't really seem to understand it, and wasn't going anywhere. Luciu notes that that's kind of like talking to the Master in general.
Fair point.
So, causing the Master to say, oh no! And Luciu just sighs, yes, exactly like that. Luciu says, anyway, the Darkness can understand what we say, right? It can understand our language. And the Master says, well, I'd hope so. It's been watching us for long enough. And Luciu says, wait, it watches us? Is it listening right now? And the Master says, I don't know, could be. How should I know? Nah, kidding. They're not here at the moment. We're fine. Anyway, Darkness has a hard time understanding people, especially those pure of heart, because they're fundamentally different life forms, people and Darkness. Back in the present, the leaders are talking about Darkness, actually. How topical. Where it might be now, and what it could end up doing, and why it decided to take out Strelitzia. Just then, Lorium enters the room, still hurt and grabbing onto Brain, demanding answers. Brain just notes that, okay, I get it now. This is the plan. Clever Darkness. Spreading doubt so that everybody would turn on each other. It's totally not a cliche thing to do.
Absolutely not, and we haven't seen that before.
Just as Lorium breaks down, begging them to tell him what happened to his sister. He really just wants to know what happened to his fucking sister. Ventus walks in, admitting that, hey, I know what happened to your sister, and you're not gonna like it. Lorium indeed does not like it, and goes to strike down Ventus, and Aphemor jumps in like, hold on a moment, hold the fuck on. There's a little bit more nuance to this whole situation than you're thinking right now. And Vence starting to scream. First, he just silently says, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Louder and louder, until a fucking cloud of darkness erupts out of him. Brain looks at it, saying, man, I didn't expect you to look like such a cliche. He actually says that. That's not me, like, making this more funny than it needs to be. That's actual, like, verbatim the line.
Fuck you go.
It says that it doesn't have a form, and goes unnoticed most of the time. The form they're saying right now, the voice they're hearing right now, is just for their benefit. Darkness doesn't really truly have a form, which we know from the Master of Masters is also why it can't be destroyed. Mm-hmm. They ask it what it wants, and it simply says, wants? It wants nothing. It simply is. It says that it must be hard for them to understand, being so fundamentally different from it. Unlike people, Darkness's actions don't serve a greater purpose. And then Lorium asks them, why did you fucking kill my sister again? Darkness responds that it was simply his will, referring to Ventus. To which Kulz...
Well, Mr. Wayne, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, that's pretty much the answer there. Skull barges in saying Ventus would never do that, he would never hurt anybody. It says yes, Ventus wouldn't want to hurt anybody. But what Ventus wanted was power. And Darkness just helped him getting it, making him a union leader. They tell it that Ven would never do that, he would never get power in that way. And Darkness just simply answers, Power is power. The method? Not relevant. Lorien gets up saying that means that it could have been any of them, not specifically Strelitzia. And the Darkness says, yeah, that's pretty much it. And Lorien goes to strike the Darkness, and the Darkness just knocks him back with a Darkness blast thingy.
Darkness laser. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, pretty much. It's more of a shockwave, but laser sounds cool, so let's go with that. Brain then steps forward saying, I've got some questions. First off, why Ventus? And Darkness answers, because it was decided that he would harbour darkness. It was written in the Book of Prophecies. Brain asks, so you've read the book? To which it responds, parts of it. I read it while it was being written. Brain asks what Darkness's relation is to the Master, to which it responds, we're old friends. Which, like, sarcasm.
Yeah.
They're enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Ephemer asks then, does that mean you're on the Master's side? Because Ephemer is really bad at detecting sarcasm, apparently. Darkness tells them that it doesn't really side with people. That's not really how it works. Brain moves on to the next question, asking, after all this time hiding, why are you showing yourself now? And Darkness simply answers, oh, I've been here the entire time. You just haven't noticed me. Brain then asks why Darkness keeps referring to itself as we. I don't have that in my notes because I'm already having a hard enough time reading this as is. So making that grammatically nightmarish, I didn't need, but it keeps referring to itself as we, as a plural. And it says simply that the shadows outnumber the lights, and that it is alone right now. Prompting Brain to summon a familiar looking Keyblade. I even put an extra image of it on screen so you could actually see it, because in game it's not very obvious with the bookshelves behind it.
Uh-huh.
This is the Master Defender Keyblade, which is eventually wielded by Ericus and then later Aqua.
Ew.
Originally that belonged to Brain.
Huh.
So the fact that he slightly looks like Ericus might have something to it.
Yeah.
You want to know more about that?
Yes.
Too fucking bad. 5 years ago, we are back with the Master. I love how just seemingly at random this game jumps back into flashbacks. This conversation that we were at before in the previous flashback. So Lucius says that he's worried about what might happen to the Dandelions after the war. To which the Master says, the book tells us of a future filled with light. That's proof that it'll do just fine. You stop worrying. Everything is gonna be fine. But the Master can see that that's not really doing much for Lucius, and he's not gonna let it go. So, since Lucius' role is to watch anyway, he can go with them and watch over the Dandelions. But remember, only watch, no touch. And so we see, in the modern day, Lucius overlooking a day breakdown that's starting to be pretty glitchy at this point. The entire tower is like glitching about, and houses are glitching, and it's clear that the world is starting to kind of break apart. Inside the tower, almost everyone is just straight up down. Darkness has been doing a real good job fighting everybody. Brain laughs,
Well,
saying,
that's fighting something that has no form but can still kick you in the balls. That's kind of hard.
yeah, so that's why 4 of them, 5 of them, I suppose. Oh, 4 of them. A lot of them wasn't enough. But Brain laughs, saying, I don't really buy you not being after anything. Because if you're not after anything in particular, why are you sticking around to fight us like this? Is it pride? Is it fear? There's got to be something there for you to stick around and fight us. Darkness just responds that it is after something. Yes. Infection. Spreading. Data requires a signal and a connection. But not just data. Also people's hearts and minds. And they, the Keyblade wielders, tend to underestimate how easily darkness can ride along on those signals and spread throughout the world. Scold, getting back up after having a little bit of a nap, says that no matter what, they're going to beat it. It took over Van and killed Strelitzia, and it's going to pay. Darkness says that the darkness is many, but also darkness is one. Which I say I wrote that badly. That's, I think, literally the line from the game, so don't blame me. To be one requires will. Through taking over Ventus, he could gain that will, split into 2 parts, of equal light and darkness, which, of course we do know, is exactly what happens to Ventus in Birth by Sleep.
Yeah.
Which might start setting some things happening in your brain if you start thinking about it in the background while we talk about all this. Is all I'll say. Lorium also gets up, finally having someone to actually direct his anger and revenge toward. Because he was trying to lash out against everybody, but now Darkness is here, so I'm gonna fucking beat you up. And Darkness says, one more ally isn't going to help you against me. When a voice comes from off-screen, finally back, saying, what about 2 allies? We're here!
Yay! Oh, that's right. We were also a main character thingy.
Yeah, we exist. You almost forget.
Yeah.
They tell Darkness that they'll take it down and go back to the real world. And Darkness asks them, how do you even plan on doing that again? Even if they use the lifeboats, Daybreak Town will still fall to darkness. Because when the lifeboats are activated, this world will fall to darkness. And since Maleficent's already taken a lifeboat, that process already has started. With it departing this world will be sealed off, as it was intended. This world was intended to be a prison, sealing the darkness inside of the data world. At which point we have another boss battle against Darkness. This is like the 3rd one, I believe. I don't think I have a screenshot of that. No, I don't. Fun fact, Darkness is level 5500, making him canonically stronger than the Foretellers.
Damn.
Which is even funnier, because I believe at like the point where you go from normal Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key to Union Cross, I believe there's a level reset, because in some of the gameplay I've seen from the notes that I've taken for this episode today, things were like level 1, 2, 300 again. So you go all the way up to enemies at level 5000, and then you get reset right away back, and then you have another fucking scale up to level 5500.
Damn.
This game ran for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that boss battle, which again doesn't really damage Darkness because it doesn't have a form, it summons some Darklings, which finally say you when finding Ventus. Because as you remember, throughout the entire Wreck-It Ralph adventure, they've been consistently saying to the player character, not you. Because they've been looking for Ventus. Because Ventus is Darkness's vessel. Ventus, however, gets up with a powerful burst of light, just wiping away those Darklings and going to face Darkness on its own. Saying that if it is pure darkness, then he will have to be pure light. And it used Ventus before to gain a new form. And as such, Ventus can force it to do that once again. A form that can finally be defeated. And he shines with a brilliant light, and Darkness disappears back into Ventus. So
he just sucks up the darkness?
Yep.
To be
so there's a lot of darkness in Ventus' heart right about now.
To be eventually split up and...
Yeah, would be a shame if somebody decided to take out the darkness in Ventus' heart, right? That would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody does that.
Yeah, hopefully not.
That would be potentially catastrophic. But luckily, the odds of that happening are slim to none. In the basement, another Darkness is going to check... I think this is the real world, by the way, because the pod, I should point out. So in the real world basement, another Darkness is trying to check out the data, because apparently Darkness can still check out computers. When Lucio shows up, suddenly, walking in asking, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be part of the Hall. What? How are you here? And you might note that I kind of skipped over something quite important in the screenshot for a moment there. Lucio is carrying a person-shaped package.
Uh-huh. Is he just, taking out the trash, so to say?
Who knows? I don't know, that's for sure. Well, I know half. You'll know in a minute. Darkness turns around as well, asking Lucio the exact same question. Why are you here? You're only meant to watch. Lucio says that Darkness's friend, the Master of Masters, told him to be here. Lucio opens up the middle pod, and Darkness saying, hold on, if you use that pod, your plan is ruined. You can't use that pod. And Lucio's like, I know that. I'm not an idiot. It's not for me. As he places the person in the cloth inside. Darkness, along with literally everybody playing this game, is like, what is that? Who is that? Why are you doing this? And Lucio says that it's a seed of light to be planted in the future. The true dandelion. I would love to explain to you what this means, but I haven't a fucking clue.
I can think of a few things that people might be, but I don't know.
I mean, we know there's people that are gonna have to be sent into the future at some point.
That and there are some people of pure light in the future. Yeah, we'll see.
Will we though? That's the question.
I don't know.
Outside of Van's bedroom, everybody is just hanging out and talking, and they're discussing the possible end of the world, because that's what Darkness told them would happen when one of the lifeboats departs, and apparently one of them already has. And Ephraim says something that Ava told them a long time ago. That is, when a world is taken over by the Darkness, it'll just simply go to sleep. So they'll be fine. It'll be okay. Nothing will get destroyed. It'll just go to sleep.
Well, just take a big old nap. And yeah, sure.
Thing is, a sleep that you don't wake up from...
That's
I don't
just
know.
death.
That's just death. I suppose if you're sleeping, you have the possibility of dreaming, so that's slightly better.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. After discussing this, we are just like standing by, staring into the middle distance, and Alrena walks up, asking to see Lorium, because she's got something important to tell him. She says that her Charity claims to have seen Strelitzia. The fuck?
Wait.
A few days ago, her Charity saw a dark-robed figure and a light-robed figure with hair peeking out of it that looked a lot like Strelitzia's. They note that the black coat must mean one of the Keyblade Masters. Only Lucio and the Master of Masters fit this description.
Uh-huh.
And Brain realizes that the data world was created as a backup of the real world before the Keyblade War, meaning that Strelitzia's data must exist in this data world, and that they can probably get Strelitzia back from that data in some way or another. They decide that, we were kind of on the fence on what to do here, like the world is going to end, going to be destroyed, the lifeboat thing, but this is a really good reason to go into the real world and see if we can find anything there. Speaking of the real world...
Like, we're all going to die anyway, so let's accelerate that process and get the fuck out of here.
So the data world is going to be sealed off, and the real world is going to be destroyed. So they figure if we just go into the real world, maybe at least we can do a little bit more research about the data once it has been sealed off, before the world itself gets destroyed, is the idea, I think. In the real world, though, we see that I am bad at timing screenshots. But also that Lucio is still talking to the Darkness. Darkness is wondering who the remaining 5 pods in the background there will go to. It says that it wants to accompany the Chosen One into the future and lay claim to worlds not yet created. Lucio knows that that's not really a great idea. I don't like that. So I'm just going to, get rid of you now. I'm just going to fight you. And Darkness says, hold on. You're only supposed to watch. You're not supposed to interfere. You can't fight me. And Lucio says, no. I'm not supposed to interfere with the Dandelions. But this is for me. You're just getting on my nerves. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Darkness says that it cannot be destroyed. And Lucio says, I know that. But the longer Darkness spends without a form, the more its willpower will fade. Darkness once had a form. Long ago when the Master of Masters was just a boy. But it gave up that form in order to defeat the light at the time. But after the battle, it realized that it couldn't maintain its will as either a large one hive mind as a whole, or even as individual dark clouds like they are right now. So they still need to get a physical form. They might call it expansion and infection, but really they're just stealing the bodies of people that have hearts that they can inhabit. That's what they're doing. And Lucio says, when you call it expansion, it sounds really cool, but really what you're doing is kinda sad and pathetic. Lucio taunts the Darkness, saying that you don't even figure out the Master's real plan, did you? You're actually just an idiot. Lucio asks that besides this one Darkness, there's 5 more shadows with individual will, right? One of them is in the data world, but where are the other 4? And it says, indeed, after the war, only 6 of them remained. And the rest of them are all still in the data world. Only this one has managed to escape. Ready for more flashbacks? Because this is an important one.
Alright.
So make sure everything is not going to break. For once.
I'm gonna try.
5 years ago, this is the extended case of Luciu. So the scene from the back cover movie, but it keeps going with new content. So we watch everything, blah, 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 the world will end, we'll find a new world, all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
The Master then explains that the darkness lacks a form, and that they need a form to hold on to their will. He explains that, and this is going to be another thing that I just quote at you and not going to explain because I don't understand it. He says that from 7, all is fulfilled. From 13, chaos is born, which is probably something Keyblade, X-Blade related, I don't know.
Yeah.
The darkness began as 13. Without a form, it kept spreading and spreading and spreading. Those who gained forms, eventually, became the Heartless that we know. Those without forms developed individual will. So, gonna take a step back there to explain that in more proper language, because that's the quote from the game. Darkness, when the Master of Masters was just a child, teenager, I don't know, when he was young, was just normal people in a fight against light people, the Master and his friends. In order to win that fight, they gave up their physical being and became like a hive mind of darkness. Well, they won that battle, but then they figured out that, oh, we done fucked up, because we can't go back now. We're just like a hive mind of formless darkness now. From that...
Just the cloud mind.
Yeah, exactly. From that, 2 things happened. Some of the darkness managed to split off from the whole, if only temporarily, to develop and maintain individual will, aside from the hive mind of the totality of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the darkness didn't develop individual will, but they did develop a physical form, and that physical form turns into the Heartless. So every Heartless we fought in the entire series is just a small piece of like the physical form of the darkness hive mind.
It's just a more and more diluting version of the hive mind.
Kinda, maybe. I don't know if it's necessarily more diluted. It's you've seen the Rick and Morty episode with Unity?
Yeah.
Where Rick kind of just like fucks a whole planet?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. The fact that there's more of them doesn't necessarily like dilute anything. It's just there's more individuals adding to the hive mind. Individuality doesn't really exist within the hive mind. That's
the
how
whole
a hive
point
mind
of
works.
Hive mind.
But like they have individual physical representations, but all link back into the hive mind. So they don't have a mind or a will of their own. They just act on pure instinct through whatever the hive mind of darkness decides to do. So you have those Heartless with physical forms, but no will. And then you've got a certain amount of darknesses. I think they've already explained at this point. 13 individual darknesses which have their own individual will, separate from the hive mind, but they don't have a physical form.
Right.
So that's the 2 developments that the darkness has taken since becoming a formless hive mind. Is some of them have broken away, but can't manage to get a physical form, and most of them have gotten a physical form, but have no will and mind of their own.
But the hive mind still has like any goals and things to work towards.
Presumably just to do the infection and the spreading, as is in the nature of darkness. I don't think it's necessarily planning anything as a hive mind, but honestly, I'm just not sure.
So basically, it's just a virus.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
But those formless have their own will. The only thing that they want is to have bodies of their own with strong hearts. That's what they yearn for. That's what they desire above all else.
Mm-hmm.
Darkness can't be defeated as long as it doesn't have a form, but given a form, it can be destroyed. And that is where all of the apprentices come in, all of the foretellers. Because there are 13 darknesses, and after the Keyblade War, the 7 most powerful of which will be captured inside of each of their hearts. They will go all through their separate ways and destroy the darkness in whatever places they end up. That is the true purpose of the Keyblade War. Lucius like, what the fuck?
As am I.
The Master says it's necessary. The emotions must be real, otherwise the darkness won't take the bait. So I planted the passage about the traitor in the Book of Prophecies to plant seeds of doubt in foretellers so that they would harbor actual negative feelings for darkness to latch onto. But you gotta admit, it fucking worked.
It worked. Yeah.
But that still leaves 6 more darknesses, because there's 13 minus 7, all of the apprentices, so 5 foretellers, Lucio, Master of Masters, 7, still leaves 6 darknesses out and about. We can't have that. So the plan is for 5 of those to feed off of the new Union leaders in much the same way, and be trapped in the digital world. Lucio, hearing this, does not like this plan, sacrificing so many people. But the Master tells him, don't get sentimental now. There's only one way to win this. You need to be pragmatic about this. Don't let sentiment cloud your judgment. And besides, I don't plan on sacrificing anybody. I've got a safety plan in place. Just trust me, bro. So Lucius like, okay, that's all to take in. I'm going to take this box and your Keyblade, and I'm going to get the fuck out of here because you're creeping me out. So he leaves, and the Master stays behind, saying, may your heart be your guiding key, Traitor Lucio.
Traitor?
Traitor Lucio.
Well, why are you traitor?
Well, he doesn't like the plan.
Oh, yeah, but...
So, the traitor part is... his role is supposed to be passing on his Keyblade from generation to generation to generation. So that the Master can see everything that happens. At least everything that the Keyblade is around for. Lucio then deciding to pass his heart from vessel to vessel to vessel, to survive all that time as well, was not part of the Master's plan. Or at least, this is the issue, right, with somebody who can see the future. Was that part of his plan?
As far as we know.
Very clearly was, otherwise he wouldn't tell him all this information just to start, like, hyping him up to betray him. But that wasn't part of his role, anyway. Lucio was just supposed to die and let the Keyblade move throughout history. But Lucio decided that, no, actually, I'm going to stick around for a while. I'm going to live through everything. That's not part of the role that he was given. And that presumably is the part where he betrays the Master. The betrayal might happen in Kingdom Hearts 4, and this might not actually be, like, the betrayal part, what I'm explaining now. I don't know. It feels like that might be a thing that's still coming up.
Well, that's setting someone up for disaster and being all like, you're a traitor, but why? I haven't done anything. You're gonna do a thing.
Well, when he says traitor, Lucio,
I guess I'm gonna do a thing.
I should be clear. When he says, may your heart be your guiding key, traitor Lucio, Lucio has already left the room. So he's not saying it to Lucio, he's saying it about Lucio. Which is rude. You don't talk about people.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the basement, back in the data world, our group is like, okay, let's do a bit of basic math here. There's 5 pods left and there's 7 of us. That's a problem.
Who's comfortable with giving someone a big ol' hug?
Well, apparently Lorium and Ventus, because Ventus is still passed the fuck out.
Oh, yeah. Which is interesting, having just learned that he killed your sister.
Yeah, but he also came to grips with the fact that it was actually darkness possessing Ventus quite quickly. So he doesn't really harbor any ill will toward Ventus, seemingly, anyway.
I don't care. He killed my parents.
We're not going to Batman this shit up.
Iron Man, goddammit.
I suppose it is more of an Iron Man moment. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Either way, there's too many people for the amount of pods that we have, and that's not even to mention the fact that the data world is filled with actual, like, other people, like dandelions, that will also be stuck here because there's not enough transport to get them out.
Also, there's darkness trapped inside of them, which was supposed to be trapped in here, so you're fucking up the whole thing.
Yeah, but again, Keyblade Masters, man. Even when they're fucking up the fucked up plan, they're still fucking up fucking fuck. I'm so glad in some ways that this channel has no monetization, you know?
Yeah.
Because then videos can't get demonetized.
Or you have a lot of work bleeping that shit.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because fuck that fucking shit. Anyway.
Any fucking way.
Yeah, exactly. So even if we figure out some way to get out of here, there's only going to be 5 of us getting out of here. There's 7 of us, and there's like hundreds of others. This is not great. But somebody's going to have to go out into the real world and figure this stuff out from outside. Maybe there's a way to get everybody out. And we're going to send the smartest person to do that, because it's going to be quite complicated. And, one of us is literally called Brain, so let's send him.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Arena steps up saying that, hey, I'm not a union leader or anything. I'm just here to help Lorium, so I guess I'm not going to be able to leave here, right? I'm going to be one of the people that's stuck. And Skull's like, no, the exact opposite. You locked out. You are here. This is not your fault. This is not your responsibility. We're getting you out of here. To which everybody else looks over like, okay, that was apparently a unanimous decision. Sure, why not?
Nice sentiment, but how?
Well, there's 5 pods.
Well, yeah, but
so she's just...
No, we need those for people who actually need them.
1 for Brain.
And with that logic, I guess we as main character are also there. So hey, we also locked out.
Well, that's actually yes, kind of. Let's do this one thing at a time. Yeah. Because he also gets offered the chance to go into the real world. Because again, you're just like a person. You're not a leader. Responsibility for the people first, then the leaders. Like that's how we deal with shit. But we say that no, we won't take you up on that, because technically we're not even actually like a dandelion. We're just Ephemer's friend who are here. And if Ephemer's staying in the data world, we'll stay with him. And Skull says, you know what? I'm also your friend. I'm also going to stay. Which is great, because now we only have 4 people who want to leave, and we have got 5 pods. So
Yay.
Get in those pods. The people who are leaving into the real world will be Brain, Ventus, asleep. I almost said Malusha, Lorium, and Arena. So they're going to the real world, fine, everything is well, leaving only Ephemer, ourselves, and Skull in the data world. Before he departs, though, Brain looks over at Ephemer and hands over his Keyblade and the Book of Prophecies to Ephemer, saying that these were never meant to be given to me in the first place. They were meant for you, so here you go.
But how were they meant for him?
Because, and this is not explicitly said any time before, but Brain was not the one who was supposed to receive the Book of Prophecies. It was not his name circled on the page, it was Ephemer. So at least the book was supposed to go to Ephemer, and Ava gave it to Brain in a vain attempt to usurp Destiny, which of course then ended up making Destiny play out as it was supposed to. And I guess that this Keyblade just kind of came with that. I don't know.
Part of the job, I guess.
This is the Book of Prophecies Keyblade. I don't know. There's no I in it, so I don't care. And it's got a name, so who cares?
Yay.
So he gives those to Ephemer, like, these are yours. I'm going to go into the real world and maybe see you in a bit. And otherwise, it's been a good life.
Would have been useful to take your Keyblade to the real world.
Details. Maybe he'll get a different Keyblade soon. Who knows?
Sure.
In the real world, Brain gets ready to send Ventus and Arena and Lorium with pods into fucking somewhere. He doesn't know where, he just knows that they'll probably be safer there than they are here, because Daybreak Town is literally falling apart at the seams. So he sends them away, and just then he is approached by Lushu, asking, so, it's just you? Meanwhile, back in the data world, I told you we were going to be jumping about a lot. Our remaining people face all the remaining darknesses. So these are the 4 remaining darknesses that are in the data world.
Also, other thing before we move on.
Yeah.
They don't know or don't seem to realize that using this machine will separate them from their heart.
Brain says in an upcoming scene, or the last scene, I don't know, that he is vaguely aware of the fact that it will do that, but he doesn't know all the details.
They're just willing to take the risk.
All that they know is that those pods will take them somewhere safe, and Brain has a general idea that it might involve safety to a different time rather than just a different place. The exact mechanism, I don't think he understands. Much less everybody else. Everybody else is an idiot.
Yeah.
So to go back to our darknesses here, this means that the idea of capturing those remaining darknesses in the new Union leaders also didn't happen. Because they're just floating about here.
Because they got ripped out of the new Union leaders that just left.
No, they just never... they never took the bait. There was never enough darkness between the new Union leaders, I guess, for them to latch onto. So they're just hanging about in the data world.
Right, because for the previous ones, they needed to be doing all the bitch fighting between them.
Yeah, and these ones are actually like friends. So
yeah,
that part of the plan might have just straight up failed. Part of the plan might have not actually been to sacrifice these people, because we never know with the Master of Masters. It's Oracle issues. They say they're not here to fight. Not to worry, we're not gonna fight you or kill you. All we want you to do is open the gate and let us out of here. And Ephemer gets ready in a fighting stance, whispering to us to, once the fight breaks out, get in a lifeboat and get the fuck out of here. Again, you're just a person caught up in all this. This is our problem as leaders. You save yourself.
What?
Gents.
Also, yeah. What gate are they referring to?
Into the real world. Because they're in the data world still. And they can't just leave. They need some way out. And apparently they can open a gate with their keyblades. Maybe. Apparently.
But why do they need the pots then?
Don't know. Don't question that. That would mean that this entire moral issue could be solved in a second. We don't want to think about that. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I straight up don't know. That seems to just be a plot hole.
It's kind of a gaping hole.
Yeah. Or a gate, you could say. So Ephemer says to us, we're going to fight these guys. And with we, I mean me and Skuld, you're not going to fight these. You're going to get to safety. As we, the player character, our good boy Jens, stands up, speaking, fools. This is why people cannot defeat the darkness, he says, while striking at Ephemer, saying that we have been lost to darkness for quite a while. Cue the final boss battle of the game, Dark, player character, versus Ephemer and Skuld.
What?
Yeah, we as a player character with dark powers fight against Ephemer and Skuld, and that is the final boss of this game.
Why?
Because darkness.
Because we're just lost now. We're just giving up.
Apparently we got some darkness hanging about inside of us. Not unlike Ventus, potentially.
Huh.
Something's definitely happening there.
Yeah.
So we kick the ever-living shit out of them, which is a very weird experience because at this point, we're much more familiar with Ephemer and Skuld because you have not played the game. If you actually played the game, this is even... this is a little bit more even, right? Because you've played a lot as the character, but you've watched a lot of cutscenes of Ephemer and Skuld. So you're a lot more torn about this. At this point, we're kind of against ourselves, but we play against the good guys. We go to strike down Skuld, but Ephemer's like, fuck no you don't, and shoots a beam right through our chest, opening up a portal, sucking in our amazing player character and all of the darknesses, and closing the portal again. So, seems like he did open up a gate. Fucking fuck.
But why now? Why not 10 minutes ago?
Well, a little too late to think about that. In the real world, Lucio and Brain talk about the pods and the Ark and the plan that Brain has come up with. That being, the data world is going to go to sleep, and I'm going to try to stay alive as long as humanly possible to try to get them to wake up from that sleep and return them to the real world. And Lucio just looks at Brain and wake them? Oh, no. No, there's been a misunderstanding here. they're not going to go to sleep. They're in data. Data doesn't sleep. When data worlds get lost, they just get deleted. They just cease to exist.
Yeah.
And Ray's like, oh fuck, that's not good. That's real not good.
That means existential shit.
But Lucia says, you're a smart guy. I can respect that. You're a very smart guy. It's a shame that this lifetime is the only one you have. And we fade to black. In the data cables, we wake up with darknesses all around us. They tell us to get rid of that puny, mortal human body and join them in spreading darkness. And we just get up and laugh, saying, I didn't think it was this easy to trick darkness. Holding out our keyblade and locking the gate from the inside. Locking the darknesses in, together with himself, inside of the data cables. The darknesses are like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And they just fucking rage. We weren't taken over by darkness. We just pretended to be, so that Ephemer would be forced to send us all in here and we could lock the darknesses inside the data cables.
Because
Which
darkness can live in cables?
I'm not entirely sure what happens here, because the idea behind the data world itself was if we lock the darkness in there and then the data world gets destroyed, that presumably also destroys those darknesses.
Uh-huh.
I am assuming that the same will hold for them being in the data cables when the data world gets destroyed. So those darknesses that are in here right now, the 4 of them, probably just got destroyed. I'm not sure though.
Alright.
Because if they didn't just get destroyed, Ephemer fucked up. Because that means that these darknesses were about to be destroyed and he gave them a way out still. And that would be bad. So hopefully that's not the case.
Well, we just established that nobody actually dies, so...
Well, everybody, that's the thing that Lucia just said. Everybody in the data Daybreak Town does actually, well, no, you're right. No, we'll get to that in a moment. You're right. They don't actually die.
We've established that in the beginning of this podcast that nobody in this whole thing actually dies.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, Ephemer and Skuld arrive in the real world and just go for a quick look outside to see how Daybreak Town is doing, and the answer is not very good. Yeah, not very good at all. This is the real world, so that's less than ideal.
Yeah.
You want to do one last flashback?
Well, if we have to.
Yeah, you don't have much of a choice. Let's go. 5 years ago, we see the Master of Masters and Darkness just hanging out on a hill near Daybreak Town. Just talking. Darkness asks the Master what it plans to do with this world. He says that this world exists in 3 stages. First, Keyblade wielders are brought together to gather light. Then they will turn on each other and fight. Finally, those left must face darkness in a sealed-off world. And when all 7 lifeboats leave, this world will end and a new day will dawn. Darkness says that it's strange that the guy with the Book of Prophecies would waste all of this effort if it already knew everything. The Master laughs, saying, does Darkness really think that the book tells us everything? Of course not. If the book contained everything, he would have never let Darkness read even the slightest part of it. No. The book only contains the future, for which No Name, the Keyblade, was present. And even then, only the bits that were important enough to write down. And what matters more than what's in the book is where and when the book was written, and how to get to that point. So, time travel rules again. Because we need to explain this every time it comes up, because it's very complicated. To go into the future, you need someone there with memories of you, a medium to form the body, and what they refer to as a waypoint, which is just the combination of those. I don't know what they mean with waypoint, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that is just the person with memories of you. It's not entirely clear.
Just
I'm going to choose to believe. Yeah. I think what's happening here, and if anybody in the comments wants to correct me, I'm sure you've already written more than enough comments to correct me on this, because this is kind of where my lore knowledge is a little vague, partly because nobody knows, I think, because this is decently new information, and partly because I've not played through the game in real time myself. I've only experienced it in similar format to this. I think what they mean with waypoint is just a combination of a medium and those memories. So instead of every single time they refer to time travel saying the memories and the medium, they can just say the waypoint, and that's just easier to write dialogue with. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how I'm going to treat it until something else is explicitly explained about it, anyway. Because, the Master says, the Book of Prophecies contains a waypoint. Luciu contains the memories. And the Keyblade has his eye, functioning as a medium. Which means the Master has a direct line of travel into the future, for which both Luciu and the Keyblade are there. Which, as we know, is literally all of history.
Ew.
So the Master can just decide a point to travel to, and he'll be there, which is insane.
So is that saying that it's not actually the eye seeing the stuff and then relating that to him? It's just him visiting the future from time to time and then writing that down?
I think what is implied to be happening here, because the Master says what is important is when the book was written and how to get there. So I think what is happening here is that the book wasn't written in this time period. The book was written in the far future, at the end of the timeline, and then brought back into this era.
And he needs to make sure that he can get to the end of time.
To write the Book of Prophecies.
And then have the... But he already knows that he can do that because he has the book.
Exactly. So it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is how I'm reading it anyway. But this is one of those things where this could very well get more explanation and a different reasoning behind it at some points in the mid to near or far future. So at any point, really.
Even if it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, you still need to set it up.
I mean, do you? It's the bootstrap paradox, right? Where if you go back in time and give an item to your past self, which you then hold onto until you travel back in time when you eventually age into that point, that object doesn't have an origin point. That kind of seems to be what's happening with the Book of Prophecies. Maybe?
Well, not really, because it has an origin point at the end of time.
Well, yeah, it is written at the end of time, presumably. So, yeah.
So it is something that is made at a specific point.
But the plan as a whole doesn't have an origin point.
Yeah, because... Well, that's what I mean with you still need to set it up. He still needs to have his waypoint to make the whole thing happen. Because maybe otherwise you get a Back to the Future kind of thingy in which the Book of Prophecies kind of disappears.
From what I understand, the Book of Prophecies is taken back into time to then age into the future, to be written again into future, and be taken back in time so that it can be written at the end of the timeline again. It's very timey-wimey stuff. Yeah. It is confusing because we don't know everything about this yet, is the thing. This really feels like it is a Kingdom Hearts 4 kind of thing. And maybe in the next mobile game, which is called Missing Link, which should have been out for like a year and a half now at this point. It's still not. Maybe that'll talk a little bit more about the Book of Prophecies and what it means and how it works. But I feel like this is kind of like the main question. Well, not the main question, but one of the big questions of Phase 2 as a whole is like, how does this plan and like this whole thing work to begin with? Because it's at this point, like we can get the basic ideas of it, like what we're discussing right now. But how things actually work and whether or not these conclusions we're jumping to are even the right ones is not entirely clear.
Well, I guess then the Master of Masters is right, and we're just looking for solutions where there are none, and we're the idiots.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is exactly... that is exactly why that line of dialogue exists, because people do this a lot, because it takes like 5 to 6 years for a new game with new story to come out every single time, and people get very bored. We'll get to some of the theories that result from that boredom later. Where did I leave off in my notes? There we go. He has a direct line to the future, all of history, pretty much. And Darkness asks him if he was just doing all this to be able to travel into the future. And the Master says, that's not the final goal, but it's certainly an important step. Darkness music, different game. There is a rhythm game. Darkness muses that the 7 pods and the 7 crowns, and the Master confirms, are for the 7 lights. And you might rightfully be asking yourself, which fucking crowns?
Uh-huh.
I would love to tell you if I knew. I'm assuming that these are the 7 princesses of light, but fucking if I know. That's just kind of everything we get there. It's never revisited up until this point. The Master stretches and yawns and says, man, I'm tired of fighting the darkness. I did see something interesting in the future. A world that even I can't conceive of. And the Darkness says, you're difficult to understand. And the Master asks if it means people. And Darkness says, no, just you.
Yeah, I'm with the Darkness on that one.
Yeah, we all are. The Master explains that a chessboard makes for a small world, and easy to understand. But even if that chessboard extends without end into infinity, Darkness will be able to fill every corner, and he can't get away from it. That's hardly fair, right? So, the Master wants to leave to a new world, one that even he can't conceive of. A world where neither light nor darkness rules. Now, have we heard about anything like that before?
Something with the game.
Yeah.
Is that the whole thing of the game that we had a trailer for in one of the other games?
You might think that, wouldn't you?
Yes, because Sora is there now, right?
Yeah, and we saw something else also in that world at the end of the secret ending.
And that was him.
Yeah. So, he says that people are different from other living beings. They want to believe in a world that they won't be around for to see. He too wants to believe in a world beyond his imagination, a world of fiction. Darkness asks, fiction? Like the data world? And the Master clarifies, no, not data. If you can imagine hard enough, you can make something a reality. What he's envisioning goes beyond even that. A place where even sight or voices can't reach. A world. And you might think, hey, did the camera or the microphone cut out there? No, it's just a __ world.
Okay.
I don't know why they do that, unless it's something that even I to this point don't know, because what he, to my knowledge, says there is just a fictional world.
Uh-huh.
And he already dropped the name fiction 2 sentences ago, so maybe I'm missing there, something there still. But he's planning to go to a fictional world, which is just all kinds of meta, because isn't he already in a fictional world?
Yeah.
Which is where we come back to, and I don't want to derail us too much, because this recording is long as hell anyway. But that's where we come back to the idea that maybe the fictional world that they go to, which also in later installments they refer to it not as fictional but just as unreality, the opposite of reality.
So it runs in on Unreal.
Well, it will. So kinda. I swear to God, if that ends up being just like a brand promo thing with Epic Games, I'm gonna lose my mind.
That would be fucking epic.
Yes, it would be. But that's where the idea comes in that Sora being in Tokyo isn't just a world that's like Tokyo. A fictional world to them would be our reality.
Oh, we're getting all kinds of meta now.
Yeah, that's not been confirmed, and there's good reason to assume that is not actually what is happening. Also,
that was also the different number on the building and stuff, right? So it's not actually our world.
Yeah, that's it. The 10-4 building in real life, and it is the 10-3 building in Square Enix games always, or the other way around. I never can remember. So yeah, that's a fucking bombshell and a half to drop.
Yeah.
So
I always wonder with these kinds of things, like, are the writers actually
drunk?
Knowing
Yes.
Where this also that, yeah. But do they actually know where this is going, or are they just being vague, like we'll figure that out sometime.
I feel like at this point, the majority of things they have an idea where they're going. For a very large portion of phase 1, they did not.
Yeah, they know this is gonna be bigger and longer and
like phase 1, and that's why I personally like to split up phase 1 into actually phase 1 and 2, and what's happening here is, in my opinion, more phase 3. To me, the actual phase 1 of Kingdom Hearts is Kingdom Hearts before they had a long-term plan, which is Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts Days. I feel like by the time they made Birth by Sleep, they started to tie things together. They started to have more internal consistency in their logic and their world building. So I feel like Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is where they started the arc toward the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, the Keyblade War, etc., etc. That's all introduced in Birth by Sleep, and that's where things start to feel like they were getting planned out. There's still a lot of retconning happening, and there's still a lot of just make up as you go, specifically around like time travel rules. Fucking hell. But I feel like as the series goes on, they are more and more prepared in their writing to plan ahead now. So I feel like the things that we're discussing here at this point, I have confidence that they know where this is going. I was going to say I have confidence that they know what they're doing. That might be giving them a bit too much credit. But they know where they want to go with this, I feel.
Yeah, probably.
Let's go back to the present, because things are much less confusing there.
Yeah, sure.
Because Ephemer and Skuld get into their pods in the real world to finally depart Daybreak Town and get to safety. Meanwhile, all of the Keyblade wielders in the datascape that are dying. Fucking hell. And
no, they're dying. They're being deleted, right?
Yeah, something like that. What's happening is they're
ceasing to exist. They're just ceasing to exist in whatever form that takes.
Yeah. They explain that, or Charity rather explains that all of the wielders, their hearts are going to sleep, and when that happens, the Charity have the ability to merge with those sleeping hearts, becoming the Dream Eaters. So, remember in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, when we had those like Pokemon spirits that helped us?
Yeah.
And also were the enemies when they got corrupted. All of those were the hearts of dead children merged with their stuffed animals.
God damn.
So, taking this one step further, at the end of Dream Drop Distance, Sora goes back into the dream world to just hang out with the Dream Eaters, because he wants to thank them for helping them along that journey. And in that scene, we also cut away to Ventus, who at that point is still asleep in Castle Oblivion, smiling.
Oh.
Ventus is unknowingly at that point, through Sora's heart, reuniting with all of his dead child soldier friends.
God damn.
Remember when I said that was sad?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, okay. The Sora goes to hug the Pokemon, sure. Welcome to my world.
Fucking hell.
We get the choice as well. If we want to go to sleep, we will merge with our Charity and become a Dream Eater. Or we can just let our hearts melt into a new one. We fade into a scene of a woman handing a baby to a robed old man. The old man takes the baby to the Destiny Island, where we see the baby grow up into being Xehanort, ready to leave the island as the old robed figure dies. Then fading into Xehanort waking up in Skyla at Calum, joining his new best friend, Ericus, for a game of chess.
So, are we implying that the player character of this whole oh, god damn it.
Yes. We were Xehanort the whole fucking time. Remember when I said Jens is Sora confirmed? Quite the opposite.
Yep.
We fade back to our favorite character of all time. Smiling, saying, "It's not over yet," as Charity wishes us goodbye and fades away. And the credits roll. But there wouldn't be Kingdom Hearts if there wasn't a post-crediting. So, post-crediting.
I was prepared for some diary thingies and shit, but post credits is better.
Yeah, no reports. There probably won't be any reports until Kingdom Hearts 4, which will probably be a while. So, in the post-credit scene, we see a pod down here, very small,
Yep.
drifting among the debris in an empty and destroyed world. We cut in closer to the pod, which opens up to reveal Aphamer stepping out of it. Next up, we see Maleficent's Raven dragging her robe into the mysterious tower, which takes place at the start of Kingdom Hearts 2. So, this is her time traveling back, with the medium being her robe, and the memory being, at that point, like one of the good fairies is there and remembers Maleficent existed. And those two things being together gives Maleficent an opportunity to travel to this point in time. And that's how she got back in Kingdom Hearts 2. Again, remember in Kingdom Hearts 2 when I said, and then Maleficent returns, and you were like, what, how? And I told you, I would love to explain to you right now, but you wouldn't understand, it would take too long, and you would be very upset.
Yes. And it took long, and I'm upset.
Yeah. So, that's there. Next up, we see Lorium has landed in a field of flowers.
Obviously.
Alrena somewhere in a thunderstorm, and Ventus in the Keyblade graveyard, slowly being approached by a shadowy, mysterious figure. I wonder who the fuck that could be. I'll give you a hint. It's our favorite character, indirectly. I love how the indirectly made sense. We also see, if anybody didn't get that, by the way, it's Xehanort.
Yeah.
Xehanort found Ventus at some point, made him his apprentice, split his heart in two, dropped him off with Ericus, birth by sleep happens. We've gone over all that. Also in the Keyblade graveyard, presumably in another time period, this is not very clear. Also, where the fuck is my cursor? There it is. We see a hooded figure with the box and the no-name Keyblade just walking about, setting down the box, looking up into the sky, and saying, "May your heart be your guiding key," which is also the final scene of the back cover movie that we did at some point.
Yeah.
This is assumed to be the same scene.
That would make sense, yes.
And I say assumed because of what happens next. Because we cut into a close-up of the hooded figure who takes down his hood to reveal Brain.
Wait, what?
There is some considerable debate on what this means.
Wait, I thought we established that he was the other guy. Wait, but that's further in the future, so maybe he will become the other guy.
How and I read this
also,
scene.
That would also mean he had a conversation with himself.
What I take this to mean is that this is Lucio in Brain's body. And that when Lucio steps up to Brain saying, "It's a shame you only have one lifetime," that is where Lucio puts his heart inside of Brain.
Yeah, I figured that much when you dropped that line.
So this is the first body hop Lucio does throughout the ages. That's how I read this. There is very convoluted alternative explanations, which...
I'm going to go with your explanation then.
I think my explanation is the most straightforward, and we're going to Occam's razor this. Simplest is what we're going to go with.
Yes, let's do that.
Are you ready to have your mind melted?
No, but you're going to do it anyway.
Because there is a post-credit scene.
Of course.
Because in that scene, we see Brain arriving in the same city that we just saw baby Xehanort being taken away from.
Uh-huh.
When a hooded guy, which I love this character design, he has a hood and a hat. I just think that is fucking amazing. Walks up to him and hands Brain's hat back to him, introducing himself as Sigurd. Welcome to Norse mythology. Who offers him Brain to take him back to the headquarters. And Brain is like, okay, before we do that, who are you? What's happening? I don't understand anything that's going on here. Where am I? And Sigurd explains that it was decided that he would escape Daybreak Town amidst the destruction and he would be welcomed here today. Brain asks if any of the other leaders also made it here, and Sigurd says no. Brain is the only one to have arrived in this time. He takes Brain to a fountain square where he sees something. Sigurd looks up at that thing too, telling Brain that that's the statue of the man who built the very city that they're standing in right now. Skala at Kylum. Master Ephemer, the first Keyblade Master.
No. But
He's not. Okay. No.
No.
He very much is not, I know. But that's how people know him around there. So, Brain is in two places at once. Like, his body is presumably Lushu in the time of Union Cross just after the Keyblade War.
Uh-huh.
It seems like his heart was set free from his body, and in doing so allowed him to travel into the future where Skala at Kylum was well established, and that's presumably taken hundreds of years of Ephemer and his descendants building all of this shit up. Again, that's my explanation for this. I think that is the cleanest explanation for why there's two brains.
Yeah.
There's other people who have theories about, like, data-related shit, which I really hope aren't true. There's a more or less, like, full-length, feature-length theory on YouTube, which has, like, proper, like, custom animated cutscenes and stuff of someone going over a set of theories, which personally I don't love, but it's very well made. That's the end of Union Cross for now.
All right. Well, when the to the point of there being two brains, for now let's just say Occam's razor, indeed.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Brain 1 in the robe is Lushu. Brain 2 is just time travel Brain. There are some holes with that theory still, but I think it's easier to chalk those up to sloppy writing than it is to a convoluted... Again, it's the line from the Master of Masters, right? Again, it is... You think you get an answer, and if you can't find an answer, you just say there isn't one. And I think if there's any game that line should have been in, it is this game, because this game just doesn't make a lot of sense once you start thinking about it more, which is why in this game specifically, I've told you a lot of times, don't think about it.
Uh-huh.
I like this story. It's full of holes, but I like it. I do want to go ahead real quick before we end off this recording and finally feel freedom once more in our lives. I want to say a huge thank you to Damo, who is the guy who directed and produced the entire voiced-over fan project for this cutscene compilation for the entirety of Union Cross. It is so helpful for making these notes, and it's a huge project. It's like 6 hours of custom voiced scenes with a bunch of great voice actors, a lot of which are voice acting characters that have actual voice actors in the series, and the performances are really well done. So thank you for everybody working on that. Apparently, a Kingdom Hearts Dog Road fan dub is in the works there as well, which is the kind of like the sequel to this, because as we now know, our character ends up being Xehanort.
Uh-huh.
And that game is about Xehanort's youth and how he became the dark dickhead that he ends up being, and how his Keyblade training went and all that stuff. And it's in the same app, it's in the same art style. They're working apparently on a voice-over a compilation of that as well. I don't think that will be done in time for us doing the podcast episode on that, so I'm probably not going to be able to use it, but go subscribe to that channel to enjoy that when it comes out, because it's going to be a lot of work. I saw a post from 2 months ago where they were casting for the main characters, which are Ericus and Xehanort, and if 2 months ago they were casting the main characters, they're not going to be done like next month.
Yeah.
I know how long this kind of thing takes, and that ain't happening. So, that out of the way, little thank you and shout out. Any thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna have to do some explanation to someone. That being, at the beginning of all this, you asked me to come up with a name for our main character.
Yeah.
So I picked a name of one of my dear colleagues,
Who's
which I
now
have
the evilest man alive.
and which I have a very good relationship with, and send Instagram reels back and forth like every day. Just a very cool guy, a cool dude. And now it turns out that I made him the Hitler of this series.
Do you understand now why I was adamant that you had to choose a name?
So I have some explanation to do.
You do.
Yes. Besides that, why does it have to be so goddamn? Why did I have to do time travel? Why?
I personally think that this works a lot better because it's only future time travel. There's a lot of overcomplicated rules about it, which makes it annoying to deal with. But really, it's not that complicated, right? Because you just need, like, the...
it's good that there are boundaries and
like Brain here
some
could time
rules.
travel into this time because his hat existed in this time period. So that's like his medium, and presumably because Lucio is still around in this time, because he's always around. Lucio has memories of Brain, so presumably that's how Brain was able to time travel into this point. Once you really
Which would
grasp like,
also-
those mechanics, it's quite straightforward, I say.
Yeah, which would also mean that Lucio is around here somewhere. Or
I can more or less confirm that based on a trailer of Missing Link, which Missing Link will be taking place in this time period, in this place.
or is this hooded figure? Could that be?
What?
But is this hooded figure Lucio?
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. Lucio could be anybody.
Yeah.
So it could be. What I'll say is in the trailer, and I'll just say this because it's a trailer. It's fine. In the trailer for Missing Link that came out like a couple of months ago at this point, we see a figure in the black trench coat that we're overly familiar with at this point that has the no-name Keyblade, and he's moving his hand over the eye of the no-name Keyblade.
All right. So he is around.
So I think it's safe to assume that is Lucio hiding what happens in this time period from the Master of Masters.
I never considered that is an option that he has.
I don't think anybody did until that trailer came out.
That makes him a whole lot more powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
Shit.
The trailer calls the time period that this takes place in something along the lines of the Lost Era, because nothing in this era apparently is in the Book of Prophecies. So
Yeah, just give the Keyblade an eye patch and we're done.
yeah,
And we have a lost era.
that's pretty much what happens, presumably. So what the Book of Prophecies probably looks like is, and then everybody died in the Keyblade War. Empty page. Sora was born. Well, not Sora, because we probably can assume that it picks up way before Sora again, with like Xehanort's training, because we do know that at that point the no-name Keyblade is just on the wall in the classroom where Xehanort gets taught. But this is sometime before that even. What I do want to point out, and this might not be relevant, but if we look at Scala at Kylum when Xehanort is there, this is a very white place. A lot of white buildings, we've also been in Kingdom Hearts 3, right? This exact spot. If we then go up to here, this is said to be the same city, or at least the same world.
Ew.
This looks very different.
Uh-huh.
It is presumably like tens or hundreds of years before. But that is a mystery that I am very interested in myself to figure out what happened there. Why is it different? And I don't have an answer for you.
There is some white in the background, but there's clearly a different color palette here. Yeah.
Yeah, this feels like it is entirely different architecture.
Yeah.
We can assume that Missing Link also will be about the transforming of this into the other Scala that we know, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot that we don't know. The more we get into the future. And I think this will be the fun part. We only have one thing left. No, 2 games left to do. and then we're caught up.
Ooh.
Well, 2 games and 1 cutscene. So we're getting there. But for now, if you don't have anything else, I think this is a good place to wrap up. Otherwise, throw it at me.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing. So, bye.